Hi there, welcome to my channel. So those of you who regularly watch my videos and have seen my recent flea market finds segment, I featured this briefly as an item that I picked for, believe it or not, $2. I took one look at it and I thought it was really cool looking. I got there really early in the morning. I have no reason to believe that this would have stayed very long. It was just luck of the draw. This particular dealer was just one of those people that just brought in a truckload of stuff and was just getting rid of a whole bunch of stuff and just wanted it gone. And when I inquired about this and asked what he wanted for it, he said, I don't know, $2, and that's all I needed to hear. It just got a really cool look to it. I realized it was some sort of like a slot machine or gumball machine or something. Didn't know much about these things. Clearly is marked American Eagle on the top. I have now done a little bit of research, and there is a website that is kind of interesting, has a lot of information about these old machines in general, and the website is the Arcade Museum, arcade-museum.com, and they have a section where they talk about this particular machine, and they say that this was made by the Daval company, D-A-V-A-L, and that it was made beginning in 1930, and then they had quite a few different variations of this machine that they made, and I guess they made them into the 1940s. You can tell by looking at it, it's got a very 1940s look to it, and apparently what this is in a classification of slot machine known as a trade stimulator. So a trade stimulator was a countertop machine. It didn't always have to be like a slot machine, but it was some sort of a countertop machine that would encourage the people coming into the store to actually take part in a game of chance and get a prize. So I did a little bit of research about this particular model, and apparently other trade stimulators work this way, in which the actual prize you're supposed to get is supposed to be a token. In fact, there's actually somebody selling these tokens on eBay right now for this particular machine. So I'm probably, if I can get this working correctly, I'll probably invest in a few of those tokens just so I can have a very complete kind of machine. So the idea was that you went into the store and this thing would be sitting on the counter, and you would take a chance, you'd put your penny in, and you'd pull the lever, and if you won, you would get a token that would come out the side. There is a metal tubular device that I saw inside the machine when I was working on it, and that is to store the prize tokens that get ejected out the side. If you lose, you get the gumball as a consolation prize, I guess. So that, I just wanted to clarify that, because I know anybody who's watching this video and knows about these trade stimulators of this particular model probably caught that I was under the assumption that you won a gumball, and if you didn't win, you got nothing. So apparently it doesn't work that way. So the interesting thing about this is that the token is then supposed to be able to be used for free turns. Now, does that really make sense? Free turns for more pulls to what? Win more gumballs if you lose? Or so on the top of the unit here, it actually says, any of the 3 good luck combinations receive a token good for 5, 10, 15, 25, 50, or 100 free plays. So I think what it really was a way to get around laws at the time against gambling devices dispensing cash in these establishments. You think about it. You come into my store, right? You put a penny in. I now have your penny. You win a token that says you can get more plays. Well, if you put the plays in here, the best you can win is just more and more plays. So at some point, in order for it to be worth it to the person who's putting their pennies in here, they've got to be able to get something other out of this. So my theory is that there was kind of a nudge, nudge, wink, wink, unspoken agreement between the merchant and the player that these free plays could be traded in for store credit or something else. Most likely store credit. So, you know, that's my theory anyways. So, back to the video. I can get a whole lot more than my $2 investment out of this thing if I can get it to work. So that's what we're going to do in this video. We're going to kind of like take a look at the anatomy of this thing, see whether or not we can figure out how it works and why it doesn't currently work. So I have already tried it once and nothing happened, so I'm going to try it again just to show you what happens. So the handle seems to be sitting in this position here. It appears to be bent to me. This knob appears to be bent over, and the handle will not go down, which I would guess that by design it's not supposed to be able to go down and be pulled until something releases the handle, and I would assume that the mechanism that senses that the coin has gone in is what's supposed to release it. So if I place the penny all the way in and I drop it, okay, it falls and stops. I no longer can see the penny in the opening here. But then when I pull the handle, well, actually now nothing's happening. When I did this before, the handle wouldn't pull, but all I did was move it slightly, and I could hear the coin drop all the way down to the bottom. On the back of the machine, we have the coin collection box, I guess is probably what this would be. And there is a place for a key. I do not have the key, but it was already open when I got it. So I don't know if someone forced it or what they did there. Okay, I'm looking at this little bit of metal being a little bent right here. I don't think that's going to be our problem. Somebody wrote in pencil on the back of this M-59, and they really wanted us to know that because they wrote it here, 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 and here. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's a model number or what. Well, I see my penny that I put in before is just laying in the bottom. Just came out. And I don't even know if the coins are even supposed to be in the bottom here. I would have thought the coins would collect in here maybe. Oh, wait, hold on. Okay. I am looking at a little trough right here. See this little chute or duct? I could see that goes straight through. That goes right to where this door is. Okay, I think we're on to something now. So the gumballs must be stored in this. They must be inserted. You must load the gumballs in through this hole, so the merchant wouldn't have to even unlock this to reload gumballs. Gumballs would sit in here. So the idea is a gumball comes out of this hole, and there's something inside there that we haven't looked at yet that would allow only one gumball to fall out, I guess. The gumball would fall onto this trough, and this is, yeah, I can see this is angled down, so that would allow the gumball to roll out to the front. The winner would have to open this to get the gumball out. Okay, so in other words, if they just opened it this much, they could see the gumball in there. They'd be able to see the gumball there, but they wouldn't be able to get it out until they swung this door open to this point. Then they could retrieve the gumball. The reason why that's important is because the act of opening this far enough to get your gumball prize pushes this lever out. And this lever would push on something in this slot, which must reset this so that it will be ready, that it will not drop another gumball, but will be ready to drop a gumball after the next game is played. So this is all about the gumball mechanism. So I am going to just put that off to the side. I don't care about that right now. What I'm more interested in right now is what do we have to do to get the tumblers to spin. So it looks like this whole mechanism right here rides on some pins that ride in these grooves in the cast sides. And there's a lever right here that once the locked back is removed, you can lift this lever up and slide this whole thing out. Is it that easy? Almost. Something else is holding it still. I wonder where my other penny is right now. I tried this twice, and the first penny, like I said, dropped right down. I found that in the bottom. The other penny didn't drop. Yeah, wait, there's my penny still in there. Let's see if I can get the penny. I can knock the penny back out of the coin slot. All right, there's the penny. Now will it come out? No, that's not. Oh yeah, there we go. A little bit of jiggling. All right. Let's show you this real quick. Not a heck of a lot to see in here. We've got this is the chute I was talking about, with that little lever that's activated by somebody opening that door to retrieve their gumball. Our pull mechanism to actuate the game, that seems pretty simple, and that looks like it just pushes on something on the front of this mechanism. So it looks like there's no reason why we can't just have this mechanism completely operational right on the bench with no issues. Well, this is interesting. We've got some kind of a coin chute here. This must be the coin rejection chute. I'm guessing this is where coins that do not pass muster end up having to fall out of the side of the machine. There's a hole on the side. It's almost like a coin return. Okay, so when I move this mechanism back, that releases the wheels. However, the wheels do not turn easily at all. That one does, kind of. So I can tell that there's an issue here, maybe where this is gummed up from years of sitting. I think it's supposed to spin nice and freely like this. That one's got a little bit of a warp to it or something. Good news is there's a screw on the end here. That might be a screw that goes right through this whole thing, and it might be something as simple as just unscrewing that and removing it, but I don't want to do that yet. Right now I'm more curious about how the coin mechanism works. Alright, so I've already made my first mistake, which was this little pin. I thought this was a lever that you pull out this way to maybe actuate the mechanism without having a penny in there. And when I pulled it out, it popped out quickly, and as it popped out, this tiny piece fell out. At first I thought I really did it. I thought I broke something. The good news is this piece is intact. There's no evidence that I broke it off of the mechanism, and actually it almost appears to me that it sits in a little spot. Looks to me like it sits right down in there. And I can see that the only way I'm going to get that back in there is probably to remove this mechanism right here. This plate right here appears to be spot welded to this big plate right here. So my first thought was, well, wait a minute, you get screws on this side. How do you remove this if that's not going to be able to be removed? And then I realized that these three screws actually hold just this side piece on. So the idea must be that you take these three screws out, that allows you to take this side piece off, and then all of these pins will slide out of that piece that stays behind, and that'll allow you to take all of this stuff out. Well guys, things are definitely looking up. Made my first breakthrough here. I was able to notice that I now have the ability to push this lever right here, okay, this lever right here, which consequently, if we had this in the case, pulling down that slot lever would actually have the effect of pushing this lever. If I push this lever all the way back, okay, and then release it, what pushing this lever all the way back and releasing it does is it cocks this mechanism, this clockwork mechanism. So initially my thought was, well, wait a minute, when this is spinning, right, this little flapper thing right here, it acts as a governor to try and keep this spinning at a fairly consistent rate. So what we've got is we've got a spring that we're loading up with energy, and then that energy is being released slowly. And what's stopping this from snapping back quickly is the fact that it has to go through this gear reduction mechanism and drive this, like I said, this almost like a governor thing, okay? So my first thought was, well, how come the wheels aren't spinning? So is this supposed to drive the wheels? But upon careful inspection, I realized this rotation here has nothing to do with driving the wheels. What all this does is this acts as a timer to, again, stop that spring from just releasing instantly. It even looks like I can take this whole mechanism out as one complete unit, which I'm probably going to do so that I can clean this mechanism and oil all of the shafts that act as bearing surfaces. There are no bearings in this to speak of. It's simply steel shafts going through holes in the steel plates. That's basically the bearing, except for, it looks like maybe there might be a bearing here of maybe a bronze material or something. But the point is that it's not doing it so much now, but when I first did this the first few times, this made a noise that sounded very dry bearing like. So I'm going to clean and lubricate that. So the other thing that's happening here when I do this is there are some fingers that are releasing and allowing these wheels to free spin. This one again is stuck. We talked about that. All right. But see, that's doing that. So what's supposed to happen is something is supposed to kick these wheels and give them a spin. So essentially it's supposed to be like you do this and then you do this. And when that gets down to the end of its timed run, it clicks in this finger that locks that one. These other ones aren't locking completely, so might be something going on there. So I've got to figure out what causes this, what makes these three wheels start to spin. Well, I know I'm going to have to take this mechanism apart here because I made this thing fall out. So, hopefully I won't get into too much trouble. I remove this screw at the top here. So there's a screw with a little black washer. The screw in the middle has a larger washer. And for whatever reason, instead of going through the piece of metal, it actually uses this larger washer to clamp the piece of metal, which is interesting. And then the last screw is like the top one. Just goes through a black washer. And the star washers. Okay. So now, alright, so I'm pulling this way. That's releasing this pin that this piece hinges on. And it's releasing this pin that this piece hinges on. Should be able to slide this out. All right. That is not coming for some reason. All right, so I'm going to try this upper one. All right, so there's a rub mark right here, so I need to know that when I put this piece back in, this top part with the hole has to go underneath here. Now I think with that middle piece out, I think I can tilt this back far enough maybe. Or tilt it forward? I don't know. Curious why that's not coming out. What is that captive to? Oh, I see, okay. This lever goes in that slot right there. So that's going to be a little... Alright, just going to make note of that. How that goes in there. So interestingly, after all that, that still doesn't really open this up to put this piece back in. If that's where that even goes. Yes, I believe it is. So I'm going to need some tweezers to reach in there and put that into position. So if I look at this little piece that fell out on me, it's got a pin on one side and a blind hole, almost more like just an indentation on the other side. This area where I think it came out of right here has a little hole that pin could sit in. And then the question is, well, how did this work? Right? I pulled this out this way, and that's when this thing fell out. Well, I think what happened is, I think the end of this, the end of that we can't see, actually has a curve in it. And I think that the very end of this metal rod right here actually curves and sticks into that little indentation, so that this actually just acts as a spring to hold this little drum into that area right there. So I didn't really have a good camera angle here, but where I want to put this thing is right there. See that little hole right there? That's where I want this thing to go. Alright, so if I lift this up and reach behind here, almost in position. It'll probably take me a couple of tries. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay the machine on its side like this so that I have gravity working with me. There we go. That's back in the position I believe it's supposed to be in. Now I've got to bend this sucker. I wonder if I could take this out of here. How hard would that be? Well, if I bend this up, I could probably take this out. It might make my life a little easier, but I don't think I want to do that. I think I can grab this with needle nose pliers and pull it up to where I need to pull it up to. So now I've moved this closer to where I need it to be. You stinker. I need a pair of needle nose pliers to grab that, pull it up, and get it onto that indentation there. There we go. That's it. That's how that goes. I am pretty sure. I didn't see how that was before this fell out, before I pulled this over and fell out, but now I'm fairly confident that I've got that in correctly. What that's going to do for me, who knows?